So when you are first finding your feet in the world of personal finance, investing, saving money, building a life of financial freedom and all that good stuff, it is quite a common thing for somebody to turn around and say, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and everything will make sense. However, not everybody wants to sit there and go through a 350-page book, nor do they probably have the time. Take a look at Floyd Mayweather, for example. He can't even read.
What are you doing with a school bag on stage? You can't even read.
So that is why I have recently reread this book, and what I'm going to be doing in this video is actually going through the 5 key personal finance lessons that this book has taught me. So if you are interested in this video, make sure you hit a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's jump straight into it. Okay, so what is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and who is the man, this guy here, that is all behind it? Well, his name is in fact Robert Kiyosaki, who is a well-known entrepreneur, investor, and of course author, and basically throughout the book he talks about the different money lessons that he has learned from the 2 different fathers within his life. The first one being the poor dad, who was in fact his biological father, who very much lived an ordinary 9-to-5 life, and his main thoughts around money was that the love of money is the root of all evil. The second one, of course, is the rich dad, who was actually a father of a friend of Robert Kiyosaki's, and if you haven't worked it out already, all of his different principles were completely the opposite to the poor dad. And in fact, his main saying was the lack of money is the root of all evil. And basically throughout the entire book, he references both the rich dad and the poor dad whilst teaching some key fundamental lessons towards achieving financial freedom. And that is exactly what I am going to be sharing with you right now. Lesson number 1, the rich buy assets, not liabilities. So this is one of the key takeaways from this book, and I actually remember reading this book over 10 years ago and actually having that light bulb moment. And ever since the moment that I read the section in this book where he talks about assets and liabilities, the way that I approach money completely changed forever. So what does he mean by this? Well, basically he explains in the book that when the rich dad receives any kind of income, what he does straight away is starts to buy assets. These are things that are going to put money back into your pocket over time. So something that you are going to buy that is going to give you a return. It's going to go up in value over time. So this could be a property investment like a rental property. It could be buying stocks in the stock market. It could be buying gold or silver. Basically anything that can bring you a return in the long run is classed as an asset. Now the poor dad, however, would instead purchase liabilities. These are things that are going to potentially cost you money over time and go down in value. This could be something like an expensive car or maybe some designer clothes. One controversial point that he makes in the book is that he says that if you buy a house that you are living in, so you have a mortgage, that actually isn't classed as an asset, it's actually classed as a liability because you are paying things such as monthly electricity bills and something like that. Now, whilst I'm technically sitting on the fence with this one because with house prices going up recently, I do personally class the house that I live in as an asset and all of those good things. There are some points that he does make about owning a house during the book that I kind of agree on as well. But just to summarize, lesson number 1, the rich acquire assets, the poor spend their money on liabilities, and the middle class buy liabilities that they think are assets. All right, so the next big takeaway from the book for me and lesson number 2 is where he details what is called the cash flow quadrant. And I'm not going to sit here and explain the whole thing to you. What I'm going to do is throw it up on the screen and we're going to talk through it. So basically what you can see here is a kind of 4-way chart. We have E in the top left, which stands for employee. We have S that stands for self-employed in the bottom left. We have B that stands for business owner. And then we have I that stands for investor. And basically the concept of this quadrant is for you to try and shift your focus on moving from the left side to the right side as quickly as you possibly can, because the left side are the people that trade their time for money and generally pay the most taxes. If you're working as an employee for a company, you are of course trading your time for money, and in most cases self-employed people will do the same as well. However, on the right side you typically won't pay as much taxes because you will own the businesses that you can write off expenses. You can take advantage of corporation tax, which he goes into quite a lot in this book as well. And then finally, if you are in the bottom right hand corner as well, which is the investor side of things, you will be investing your money into assets, meaning that you won't be trading any time for money, and your money is going to be working for you. In terms of where I personally think I sit within this cash flow quadrant, I think I'm a little bit of a mix of both. I think I am 100% fully immersed in the investor side of things. This is something that I do on a weekly and monthly basis, but as I'm filming these YouTube videos, I'm actively running my businesses. I still think that I sit within the self-employed section quite a bit. I've managed to escape the top left part, which I think is one of the biggest ones to actually get out of, where you're trading your time for money for somebody else, but I am still trading my time for money within my own business. I am essentially an employee of my business at the moment, because I am basically the one that is doing the work to earn myself money, and this is something that I need to focus on shifting towards that top right section in the future. But all in all, this diagram itself is a really powerful concept in helping you understand that you need to stop trying to trade your time for money and instead have your money work for you. Now, the next concept I found really interesting and a big lesson for me was all about taking calculated risks. And basically what he says in the book is that the poor dad would never take any risks at all. If it was including money, he would say you're going to lose your money, you're going to lose all the money that you've worked up and saved. Do not take those risks. Whereas the rich dad would take risks, but they would be calculated risks. Because at the end of the day, taking a calculated risk is the only way that you can potentially grow your wealth in the future. Anything that you invest into is going to have some level of risk, and if you decide to not invest into anything, you are never ever going to be able to grow your wealth. You're only going to be able to earn the money that you receive if you're trading your time for money, like I said, and this money is just going to dwindle away. However, if you take some calculated risks, now they do not have to be big risks, they just need to be calculated, you are going to have a much higher chance of growing your wealth in the future. Just using a real life example to explain the difference between a calculated risk and an extremely high risk is of course cryptocurrency. So if you were to put all of your money into cryptocurrency, that is a very high risk thing to do. With cryptocurrencies, they could drop completely the next day and you could potentially lose all your money. However, if you wanted to take a calculated approach to this, what you would do is put some of your money into cryptocurrency, so you are giving yourself that chance to increase your wealth, but also diversify your money across other maybe stocks and shares and things like this. This is classed as a calculated risk, not just going all in and taking a big risk on one currency or something like that. Lesson number 4 is that financial literacy and intelligence can only be learned through experience. Once again, using the rich dad and poor dad examples in the book, Robert Kiyosaki goes on to say that the poor dad is the person that encourages you to go to college, go to university, get a degree, and from that use that degree to get a good job that will pay you a solid wage for the rest of your life. Whereas the rich dad will be the one to encourage you not to go to college or university to pick up a skill that you will likely not use in the future, but instead learn the things that you know you'll be using on a day-to-day basis, such as accounting, things around tax, maybe business laws, anything around finance that is going to help you out growing businesses in the future. He says to focus on learning those things instead, and he says a lot of the time here, these can only be learned from experience. One thing he doesn't say is that going to college or university isn't a crime. It's obviously perfectly fine, but one of the most important things to learn in life is how money works and how you can get that money working for you. The 5th lesson that I learned from this book is that it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's all about the money that you can keep. So basically in the book, Robert says that the mindset that the poor have is that they will try to save money, but basically what they will do is budget throughout the month, and then whatever is left over at the end of the month, that is what they will then go on to save. And basically he says what the rich do instead is they do something which is called paying themselves first. And what he means by this is instead of budgeting throughout the month and then saving what is left over, whenever you receive any kind of income, this is where you're going to be putting your money away straight away and then adapting your lifestyle around on the budget that you have left. The main benefits of this strategy is of course it's going to improve your self-discipline and your respect around money. Of course it's also going to help you save more money, but it's also going to help you budget better, because we've all been there where we've saved so much throughout the month and we've got a little bit left over and we feel like we need to take our foot off the gas a little bit. If you do things the opposite way, this is never going to happen and you're going to save a lot more money in the long run. And I think the best way to sum up this lesson completely is reading you an extract from the book itself. And basically what it says is, the rule doesn't encourage self-sacrifice and financial abstinence. It doesn't mean pay yourself first and starve. Life was meant to be enjoyed. If you call on your financial genius, you can have all the goodies of life, get rich and pay bills without sacrificing the good life. And that is financial intelligence. And that for me, just like I stated in lesson number 4, building up your financial literacy and your intelligence is the most important thing to do if you want to start living a healthier life with money, start living more on your own terms, and actually start building financial freedom. Now, the whole point of this video was to keep things nice and short and share the 5 key lessons that I have learned from this book. But of course, reading this book 3 times over 10 years has taught me so many other things as well. So if you did want to go and grab this book and have a read of it yourself, you do like the concepts that I've spoken about, then what I will do is leave a link to the book in the description down below and you can go and grab that. And of course, if you wanted to start building some assets straight away, then why not start with Free Trade, which is a commission-free investing platform. And if you use the link in my description down below as well, you will actually get a free share worth up to £200. All you got to do is deposit £1 onto the platform. But having said that, hit a like on this video if you found it valuable, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care.